anymore. You know, when you're a young officer, you're excited, you're like, wow! I mean, somebody drinking underage, they take off running, you're like, wow! 15 to 20 years later, you got to weigh the risk versus the reward. You know what I'm saying? You're like, I could blow out a knee or something. And I got to be honest with you, I'm not what you call foot pursuit material anymore, all right? If you see me running after somebody, hit that son of a bitch with your car. That's a homicide suspect. And send an ambulance, too, while you're at it. What's wrong with Vinny? He ran a block.
Hey, what's going on? It's Scott. That was Vinnie Montez. I must say he's one of the funniest police officers in America because he's obviously a stand-up comedian, but he has done so well. He has had millions of views on the internet, and he's worked in law enforcement for 25 years. But what got him into stand-up comedy might surprise you. And he's very open about why he got into it. And whether you're in law enforcement or not only will you get a laugh out of listening to Vinny, but you'll learn some good life advice as well and get some encouragement. Here's my interview with Vinnie Montez. Every cop when they start is very excited, and you just don't think anything bad can happen to you mentally on the job, just because the excitement is just, well, it's there, and I'll be invincible, and this is how my career is going to go, and this is how I'm going to be. And then so many of us are blindsided where it just sneaks up on us. When it came to you, Vinny, were you a cop first, comedian first?
Being a cop came first. I used to watch Ponce and John as a kid, and there was like always a moral to the story on Chips, and I wanted to be that person. So I started as an explorer when I was 14. So like going back down to like, I don't know, 1990-ish. And I used to ride along with officers, and it was all good. A lot of the officers that I rode along with, or I should say deputies, they were very good people. And then over the course of my career, as I started getting older and became an actual officer in 1998, I started realizing that there were officers that were taking their lives, who some of the people I actually rode with as a kid. And I didn't understand, nor did I connect the two dots as far as the mental health stuff. So when I was in the early 90s, started as an explorer like in 1990 and then not becoming a cop until 1998, I don't ever remember anybody talking about mental health. I just remember conversations about like, you got to make sure that, you can compartmentalize the things you see and blah, blah. And then I started being a cop in 98, and about 10 years in, just before 2008, the sheriff that we had working at the time, he just retired, as a matter of fact. He had pulled me aside and he said, you know what, you need to really start thinking about your mental health, and you need to slow down, because I was that person who worked all the time. My focus was work. And my identity, my sole identity, was being a cop. And I mean, that would be hard for me to say this back then, but I'm very open about it now. I was tired about being a cop. And he goes, you're at most risk. And I was like, what are you talking about? I'm like, your go-to, sheriff. And he's like, yeah, but you're the most at risk because of that. And he had tried to give me this book by Dr. Kevin Gilmartin about emotional survival for law enforcement. And of course, I was like, what is this guy talking about? I know more than he does. And of course, you do. When you're a young officer, you know more. Yeah. And then the wall hit me in 2008 when I lost a kid in the field. I tried to save a 17-year-old kid who was involved in an accident. And then we ended up doing CPR on him and this whole situation. And I couldn't save the kid, and it really bothered me. Like, did I really not know enough? Did I not do enough? And the fact was, I did everything I possibly could. And I took it to heart. Like, I blamed myself. And but it wasn't just that moment. It was the fact that I had not been dealing with all these long-term mental health accumulation of trauma. And that was just the straw that broke the whole thing for me. And then I just really got really emotional on that scene. And I remember like, holy cow, what is going on? I never felt this overwhelming sense of urge to cry. I was like, it scared me, but I was just like, what's going on? So I had a choice to make.
All right. The interview was just getting started. If you want to watch the remainder of the interview, click the link below. We'll see you there.